She doesn't whisper for help.
I was murdered by him.
She names her killer, with details only the grave could know. 1977, Chicago. A woman is found murdered in her apartment. Fire still burning. Police have nothing. No prints, no witnesses. Case goes ice cold. Then, months later, her coworkers start seeing her. Not in dreams. Right there. In the mirror. In the hallway. Standing at the foot of the bed at 3 a.m. And when the dead woman finally speaks through her, she doesn't whisper for help.
I was murdered by him.
She names her killer, with details only the grave could know. This is the tragic true story of Teresita Basa, and the ghost who named her own killer. Teresita Basa was a dedicated respiratory therapist at Edgewater Hospital in Chicago. Originally from the Philippines, she had built a respected career, helping patients breathe easier every single day. At 48 years old, she was known as kind, professional, and well-liked by her colleagues. She lived alone in a 15th-floor apartment at 2740 North Pine Grove Avenue, a quiet building in a bustling city. By all accounts, Teresita lived a peaceful, ordinary life. Until February 21st, 1977. That evening started like any other.
Finally home.
She finished her shift at the hospital, went home, and around 7:30 p.m., she spoke with a friend on the phone. She mentioned she was expecting a male visitor soon. The conversation was short and normal. But just over an hour later, everything changed. Around 8:40 p.m., firefighters were called to Teresita's building. Smoke was pouring from her apartment. When they forced their way inside, they found a disturbing scene. The mattress was on fire, and beneath it lay Teresita Basa. She had been violently attacked. A kitchen knife was involved in the tragic event. The apartment showed signs of a struggle, and some of her jewelry was missing. The police arrived quickly, and they discovered a small note that read something along the lines of "Get theater tickets for A.S." A strange detail that would later feel important. At first, investigators wondered if it could have been a robbery gone wrong, or perhaps someone she knew. But there were no clear suspects. No fingerprints that led anywhere. No witnesses.
Where were you last night?
I don't know.
Anyone see anything?
The case quickly went cold. 4 months, detectives followed every lead they could.
Any leads from the witnesses?
And came up with nothing. Teresita's friends and family were heartbroken. Her co-workers at Edgewater Hospital were in shock. And the killer seemed to have gotten away with it, or so everyone thought. But here's where the story takes a turn that no one, not the police, not the doctors, not even the most skeptical detectives, could explain. Fast forward to the summer of 1977, about 5 months after the tragedy, at Edgewater Hospital, another respiratory therapist named Remy Chua started experiencing something very strange. Remy was a respected nurse, married to a doctor named Jose Chua. She had known Teresita and worked alongside her. But now, at home, and sometimes even at work, Remy began having sudden fainting spells. She would collapse, lose consciousness, and when she woke up, she would speak in a voice that wasn't hers.
I was murdered by him.
Even more shocking, she spoke fluent Tagalog, the language of the Philippines, even though Remy herself didn't normally use it that way. And in those moments, she claimed to be Teresita Basa. At first, Remy and her husband were terrified. They didn't know what to do. But the incidents kept happening, and each time, the voice identifying as Teresita would give specific details about the night she passed away.
I remember now. Teresita's secrets are here.
Remy, what are you saying?
The truth.
What made it even more chilling was that Remy started seeing Teresita herself, not just in her mind, but right there in the real world. She would catch glimpses of her standing in the corner of the room at night, pale and silent, eyes full of urgency. In the hospital hallways, she would feel a cold presence and turn to see Teresita watching her from a doorway before the figure vanished into thin air. At home, Remy would wake up to find Teresita's reflection staring back at her in the mirror, standing just behind her own shoulder. The apparitions came more and more often, in dreams, in quiet moments, always leaving Remy shaken and terrified. She named a man Alan Showery, another coworker at the very same hospital. According to the voice, Alan had come to Teresita's apartment that night under the pretense of fixing her television. Then, the attack happened.
Alan, what are you doing?
The voice even described jewelry that had been taken, specific pieces, and said Alan had given some of it to his common-law wife. Details so precise that only someone who had been there could possibly know them. Now, imagine being a detective and hearing this. Would you believe it? Most people wouldn't. But the Chua family was so disturbed by what was happening.
It's getting worse.
I feel it watching us.
The constant apparitions, the trances, the voice from the grave, that they eventually contacted the police.
I have to make this call.
Detectives were understandably skeptical at first.
Ghosts and trances? This is ridiculous.
The details are consistent, though.
Still, it sounds crazy.
Come on. You're asking me to believe that a ghost named the killer? That sounds completely unbelievable.
It sounded like something out of a horror movie. But they had nothing else to go on, so they decided to follow the lead.
This is it. The break we've been waiting for.
Captain, you found something?
I'm going after it.
They visited Alan Showery. They asked about the night of February 21st. At first, he denied everything.
Alan, we know you were there.
No,
That's not true.
the evidence says other wrong.
But when they pressed him about the jewelry,
I don't know anything.
something changed. His wife was wearing pieces that matched the exact description given through Remy. The police kept digging.
Showery's alibi is collapsing. Witness puts him at the scene. Every lead points to him.
More details from the trance sessions lined up with evidence from the apartment. The note with the initials AS suddenly made a lot more sense. Eventually, under questioning, Alan Showery made statements that connected him to the crime. The evidence combined with the extraordinary information that had come through Remy was enough. He was arrested and charged. Later, he would confess to certain details before changing his story, but the case against him was strong.
It's all here. The truth at last. The pieces align perfectly.
In the end, justice was served. So what really happened that night in Chicago? Was Teresita Basa reaching out from beyond the grave to make sure her killer didn't walk free? Or was there some other explanation? Something science still can't fully understand. This remains one of the most extraordinary cases in true crime history, where a victim may have quite literally helped solve her own murder. Teresita's story reminds us that sometimes justice doesn't stop when the heart does. What do you think? Could a spirit really come back to name her killer? Or is there a more earthly explanation we're missing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you want more stories like this, real cases where the paranormal and true crime collide, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next one might be even wilder. Until then, Sleep well, and remember, some doors should never be opened.